Yeah. What Parsha?
I'll tell you in a minute. Vayetze.
Yeah. Now this is not a Rosh Hashanah. You won't like it. We know that Rashi likes Rav Moshe Hadash.
Yes.
One place in Rashi where he quotes the town where he's from. From the town and where's the place in Rashi mentions.
Where Moshe Hadash, where does he come from?
Yeah. Rashi brings it. Rashi doesn't say Rav Moshe. But Rav Moshe Hadash and me.
I remember.
You should know since
Is it nothing?
yeah. It says Mituluz.
Mituluz. Very nice.
Lamed Beis Kaf Dalet.
Lamed Beis Kaf Dalet.
Yeah.
There's a girl said that also it's from Yehudim. So it's not.
Moshe Hadash Mituluz Shamati. Mirei Rov B'Mizei Rov.
Very good. One second.
Keep going.
متى مشتغل؟ One second. Okay. Beseder Gamor, Rabbi, say Shalom Aleichem to everybody. Okay, we'll start, right?
Yeah.
We'll start. Okay, first of all, we want to wish everybody a Gmach Chasima Tova and a good Gebench Tayar. And Rabbi say here is something we might have done some of it already in previous years, but there's a Tosefes this year. And everyone has a sheet?
Yeah.
Good. Fine. Okay. The Maharal was planning to write a sefer on Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah called Shemayim Ba'aretz. He writes so in the end of the third Akdama to Gvur Hashem that he's planning to write a sefer on every word of the following pasuk: L'cho Hashem Hagedula Hagevura Hatiferes VeHanetzach VeHaHoid Kichol B'Shemayim Ba'aretz. And based on Gemara and Brachas, he wants to say that Hagedula will be speaking about Shabbos and Ma'aser Bereishis. Hagevura will be speaking about Yetzias Mitzrayim. Hanetzach will be speaking about Mapala, Romi, and Mashiach, the Gemara says there. And then HaHoid will be on Chag HaSukkah, Shebo Notnim Hoidah LaHashem Yisbarach, and Shemayim Ba'aretz will be speaking about Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Out of these six projected Sfarim, we have only three. We have the Sefer Gvuras Hashem on Yetzias Mitzrayim and Haggadah Shel Pesach. We have the Sefer Tiferes Yisrael on, maybe I skipped it before, on Shavuos and Matan Torah, and we have the Sefer Netzach Yisrael on Golus and Geula. We do not have the Sefer Hagdula on Shabbos. We do not have the Sefer HaHoid on Sukkot, and we do not have the Sefer Shemayim Ba'aretz on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. What happened to these three? Most probably the Maharal did not get around to write them, because he never quotes them in this form that we have. In one place he says in Netzach Yisrael, maybe I'll explain more, Kasher Im Yetz Hashem, I'll be able to write the Sefer Hagdula. He says Lashon Asid. So, and that's the only time he mentions it. And the other song he doesn't mention ever. So most probably he never reached the matzav to say. Limud Zchus, therefore, if you hear people quoting a Maharal that L'chor doesn't exist, it could be it appears in those three sfarim that he was planning to write. It just, you can't prove it. You can't prove yes, you can't prove no. It could be it's from those sfarim. So Limud Zchus. Right, Rav Kaduri. Halayla nachnu iranim v'tosisim ad hasov. 48 hours from now, it's already in the midst of Yom Kippur. Now, Rosh Hashanah, the seven Rosh Hashanah we don't have, but we discovered in the 50s, in this part of the world, the Kisvei Yad on the Chidush HaGodes, the Talmidim of Dessler, Rav Ari Carmel, and what was the name, the other one? Who? Hennig, and also, and then another one. Frucht, something, whatever. Yeah, Fruchtbank. Exactly. They discovered about 75% of the Chidush HaGodes and Shas. We still have that 25% appears somewhere as well. Right. Right. Good. I want to make sure it's not a chazara. Okay. Right. It's something you know. Yeah.
What?
Is the mikveh for Kalim? It's named after your father. Beautiful. I was there yesterday. My wife was Yertzim. It's very matim. My wife is Yertzim in Kalim. How clean it is.
It was emotions about that. It was
Yeah.
so it was finished already Pesach time, whatever. There wasn't enough rainwater, to fit it. So there was one. I remember it. There was one August. It was in August. It was a beautiful blue sky, etc. Such a share. Suddenly,
Start to pour.
the clouds came over. There was a downpour, and that filled the mikveh. That was on the night of my father's yahrzeit.
Really?
So it came and went 20 minutes of hard rain, filled the mikveh, and
Peter plane.
it was mamash as my father's yahrzeit.
On the day of your father's yahrzeit.
In the night, as the yahrzeit.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was the.
Wow.
It was a
Half-
month's wait.
After a fella. You know, my son told me that he was speaking to someone in Eretz Yisrael and said, look at the Nissim. And Iran sent 180 missiles to Eretz Yisrael. Did you see the size of one missile? Did you see a picture? It's between 800 and 1,000 kilo each missile. And not one Yid got hurt. So he said to his friend, I wonder how someone, a secular Jew, how could he explain this? Then this Yid told him, and what about us? Do we get chizuk b'emunah? Is our emunah much more stronger now than before? Or how do they explain it? Oh, are we now, is our level of emunah upgraded? It should be, right? It's not always Yenim, it's also us. You know, the Briskrav used to say, we're going to read on the Haftarah of Yom Kippurim, on Mincha, B'Shemia Ha'azois, of the Sfina. Again, it was a Sfina full of the Zohar, and there's one Novi Hashem. One is a Novi Hashem. So who would you say, why is the Sfina Chashva L'Yishaber? Because of the Zohar. It was because of the Navi. Like, we shouldn't blame others. That's the point you want to say. So anyway, Rabbi say, on Rosh Hashanah, we don't have the Sefer of the Maharal, but we have Chidushei HaGodas on Rosh Hashanah. And a lot of the Yesodis of Shofar and everything are explained there. But we don't have Chidushei HaGodas in Yuma either. And therefore, we don't have the Torah of the Maharal on Yom Kippur. Ze'ir po, ze'ir sham. But there's one thing. At Rosh Shabbos Shuvah. Rosh Shabbos Shuvah, they said in 1584, I'll tell you in a minute, in 1584, he said this Rosh Shabbos Shuvah, which is Pashat Murdik. Murdik. I just want to check out the year that he said it. Shin Dal Mem. Shin Dal Mem was 1584. And at the end of it, he speaks mamash about Yom Kippur. And Rav Dessler writes about it. Zachinu le'or godol shel Maharal in Shabbos Tshuva about Yom Kippur. And let's see what he says. So to bring it out, I want to bring out just first a Lon Shvu'i. That's a weekly pamphlet. You see this one next to you over there on the table there?
Yeah.
Show it to the Olam. So what is it called? Sichas Shavua. It's Lubavitch. On the Sichas Shavua, okay, on the Sichas Shavua that came out about 20 years ago, on the cover story, they always write very, very good. Look what it says in that Alon Shvui. Yesh Omrim, this came out in Eretz Yisrael about 27 years ago. Some say Shahanihira, Nihira, like a river going to many people going somewhere, is called Nihira. What? What's the word in English? The flow. Hanihira hamunit shel Am Yisrael lebatei knesset b'Yom HaKippurim. The people are flowing on Yom Kippurim. Yes. Yesh ba mishum tzviut. It's hypocrisy. רבים מאלו שנחשפים ביום הכיפורים בבתי כנסת ומכים על חטא אינם מתכוונים באמת לשנות אורחות חייהם. They're not playing, especially in the we're not so from. They're not playing to change. הם לא ממש מתכוונים להתחיל לשמור שבת, מתכוננים לשמור שבת, לאכול כשר ולהתלבש בצניעות. האם אין בכך מתן משתיקה, like it's kind of lip service לקדוש ברוך הוא, כדי לנקות את המצפון ולאפשר להם להמשיך במעשיהם כל ימות השנה? I mean, who are they fooling? Who are they fooling? Doesn't it look like a little bit of a show? Okay? Otherwise, I give a look at, that's the Alon Shvuyas. Look at the Shulchan Aruch in Bak's bed. Af mi sheino nizar mipat shel nochim, b'aser semei tshuva tzarich lizar. And he's not planning to keep it after Yom Kippur. So, who are you bluffing? But I'm not planning to change. No, it won't help. I'm lechatchila not planning to keep on. That's even b'Shel Shalom. I'm planning to do it only now. No, and I'm saying now I'm not going to do it later. That's not called b'Shel Shalom. So to answer this question, the Alun Shvi answers it. And to appreciate, let's start here with the Maharal. In Bax Gimel, in Drush Shabbos Shuvah, it's on this part of the page. It's on the new edition. Okay. It's Inyan Yutes. Out of 21 Inyan Yutes. B'Yom HaKippurim, Ha'adamu b'madrigas HaMalach. On Yom Kippur, you become a Malach. Yesh l'salek et chet'o, so we have to remove all our sins. Ad she'yeh kamo Malach. Ad she'hu tahor legamrei kamo Malach. וכן כל המצוות שציווה השם ישראל ביום הגודל והקודש. הכל לסלק הגופוניוס שבאדם. It's all to remove the body from Adam. עד שהוא כמו מלאך לגמרי. Rabbi say, as you can see already, which halacha is based on the fact that we're malachim? Baruch Shem Kvod Machus, we say b'kol ram, right? וביום הכיפורים ציווה השם ישראל למעט הגוף ולענות הנפש בחמישה עינויים. So first of all, you see that the Maharal understands that they're all Doraisa, the 5 Yinuim. It's a machlokes amongst the Rishonim, but that's his opinion. Tziva Hashem Yisrael lemat haguf v'not nefesh v'chamish Yinuim. ואז אין הנפש מיושבת בגוף, והיא נבדלת לבדה לעצמה, מסולקת מהגופניות וכמו מלאך. ומפני כי יש לה נפש 5 שמויס, נפש רוח נשמה יחיד החיה, נמצא שיש 5 דברים בנפש, ולכך יש 5 שמוס הנפש, וכנגד זה 5 עינויים למעט ולסלק הגופניות. So here the Maharal saying something which has to do with Kabbalah. Our neshama, nefesh, whatever you call it, has 5, that means there's 5 aspects to it. Each aspect has its link to the goof. And there's like a little chain connecting that aspect number 1 with the goof. Aspect number 2 connects also to the goof in its way. Aspect number 3 and 4 and 5. Yom Kippurim, we're out to cut off these links and to totally separate the neshama from the goof. Throughout the year, they have some kind of chavrusa shop. They have some kind of shaykhs. On Yom Kippurim, the Chamishim, and he explains how each inui is connected the other name of connected. He pairs them up. The Chamisha Inuim to the Chamisha Shemus of the Nefesh, and each Inui is like a big scissors to disconnect. It's that element of the Nefesh, which is its corresponding part of the Guf. Chamisha Inui, because it's Chamisha Shemus of the Nefesh. Fine. And what happens then in Yom Kippurim? You're without a Guf. You're a Malach. Because the 5 links that connect the Neshama to the Guf are disconnected on Yom Kippur. So this is a known word of the Kutzke Rebbe, backs down. What's the difference between fasting on Yom Kippur and fasting on Tisha B'Av? B'Tisha B'Av mi yachol le'echol. On such a day we're full of tzaras, who could eat? B'Yom Kippurim mi tzarich le'echol. You don't have a goof, so what do you have to eat for? The Neshama doesn't eat. Good word, right, Chema? Good word. He probably said in English. How do you say it in English? The Tisha B'Av, wer ken essen? Und on Yom Kippurim, wer darf essen? Well, definitely. Good. And the halacha that was mentioned before by Reb Shlomo, and backside the Shulchan Aruch says, Belel Yom Kippurim, u'machoroso omrim Baruch Shem Kvod Machus Adonai Lamoed b'kol ram. Says the Mishnah b'kol ram, do shiras hamalachim, u'b'Yom Kippurim gam Yisrael domim lemalachim. So we're all like malachim. Right? Good. So what are the 5 inuim? To release the neshama from its Chavrusa Shaf with the goof, and then what happens when you do the Chamisha Inuim? There's a total disconnect between the neshama and its 5 parts, and the goof and its 5 aspects which correspond to it. Good. Goes on the Maharal and Bak Zayin. We're taking part in this Rosh Shabbos Tshuva. It's very annoying what he's Megala here. Elohem Chamisha Inuim Haksuvim Atara. Again he says, these 5 Inuim are Deraisa. Levi Yadua, it's Machlokes Rishonim. Big Machlokes Rishonim. Everybody says that the Yisra Achila is the Reisa. But the other 4, some say, even though the Gemara learns in Psukim, the Torah says it's Asmachta, but the Maharal learns it's Mamash Ksum Matorah. V'kulam im lema'et ha'gufaniyut min ha'neshama ad shehi gdoisha legamrei. And this context means totally separated min ha'guf kasher ru'i la'neshama. וכן תמצא עוד כל מעשי יום כיפורים, הכל כדי לסלק ולמעט את הגוף. ולקח ביום הזה דווקא הותר לו לבוא לפנים ולפנים. This is the only day that a Kohen Gadol can enter the Holy of Holies. וזה, כי מקום קודש קדושים הוא מקודש לגמרי מן הגשמי. It's totally removed from any trace of Gashmias. ולכך הוא קודש הקדושים. Bimi Araya, we're saying that the Kodesh Kodeshim has nothing to do with Gashmias. Or Neinu Min Amida. It shouldn't fit in. The measurements don't fit in. It fits in. ולא היה שם רק אורן, אשר שם אנוכי מלוכוס והתורה השיכליס. Again, בלושן המהר"ל, שיכלי means spiritual. אשר אין לתורה שהיא שיכלית שום עניין לגשמי. The Torah has nothing to do with... The רוחני and the גשמי are opposites. ואדרבה, כאשר הגוף נחלש וכוחו קלה ומתמעט, אז השכל מתגבר. וזה ראיה כן התורה השיכליס חלק גשמי כלל. So you enter on Yom Kippurim, since the Kohen Gadol and all Yisrael for that matter are totally removed and separated from their guf, they're allowed to enter a place which is Kodesh Kodashim. What's in there? The Aron that has inside the Torah. But you can't have breakfast and then walk into Kodesh Kodashim. It's just gate nishtazai. It doesn't go. You have to be totally removed from the guf, and that's what happens to us in Yom Kippurim, that we're like malachim. Okay. Good. So what do we do in Yom Kippurim? We put the guf in the boidim. How do you say boidim in English? The attic. Right? For 25 hours a year, you take the guf, shalom, balon, I have nothing to do with you today. Nothing. That's what the Chamish Shunim do. Let's go in Bakschet. Va'omar, bezois yavo Aaron. Right, we're going to read it on Yom Kippur. Uba Medrash. What does bezois mean? B'schus HaTorah, b'schus HaMilah. The merit of Torah and the merit of Milah, he enters Kodesh HaKodashim. Why? V'roitz aloyma, mipnei sheyesh b'Yisrael ma'alazot she'inam netunim tachas HaTeva she'i Gashmis. Am Yisrael are above Gashmi. Ein Mazel Yisrael. Aval madrigosam al Teva Gashmis. That's what it is. ולקח נתן להם השם יסוד המילה ביום השמיני. כי 7 ימים הם ימי הטבע שהיא גשמיס, שהם נגד 7 ימי בראשית שבו הקדוש ברוך הוא עושה הטבע הגשמיס. וביום השמיני שהוא על מספר 7, ציווה המילה, מה שחוסר בטבע הגשמיס שיהיה אורלה. The foreskin is removed. ולקח הואיל לכהן להיות נכנס לפנים ולפנים, שמוקם זה מקודש ונבדל מן הגשמי, in space, שנקרא קודש קודשים בסוס המילה, ובסוס התואר שיהיה על הטבע הגשמיס. Okay? So, and with what merit does he enter to such a holy place? With two things which are above and beyond Olam HaGashmi. Mila is Yom HaShmini, and Torah is also Shmoina. Bring me a right, Torah is also Shmoina. The Torah has to do with number 8. Come on. Come on. Qualified tzaddikim here.
Sure, it's after 7.
After 7, that's good. 50 is Shiva Shavuos, and then comes 8. 8 and 50 are the same. Bring me another raya.
We do
What?
Torah.
Shmini, it says, okay, good. That's good. Where else? The Perikufutes, each letter has 8 letters. 8 psukim, it's all about Torah. Right? And then there else is also in Perikutes, the Pasuk Shmini is Torah Hashem Tmima, B'Shivas Nafesh. Torah is 8. It's also 8. It's 50. It's 8. That he says a lot of times. So you can enter. That's your ticket to enter Kodesh Kodashim and Yom Kippurim with things which are beyond the Gashmi. Then I say he says something which we're not going to go into now, but just notice he's saying it. ולכן כל העזות שהיו ביום הכיפורים לפני ולפנים היו 8. אחס למעלה ו7 למטה. There are 8 hazors there. וזה כי כאשר נכנס בפנים ולפנים, ודוב הזה ביום הכיפורים אשר היה לו עינוי נפש, הוא הסורס הגוף הגשמי, ונכנס במחיצה שיהיה גשמי, הוא צריך הזאת, אחס למעלה ו7 למטה. 8. ושאר הזוהס הם 7 בלבד. Rabbi said, do you know what kind of unbelievable chiddush I'm saying here? You tell me. What's the big chiddush he's saying here? Tell me. What is the big chiddush he's saying here? It's meridic. What's the big chiddush he's saying? What does he say? Then Kodesh Kodashim, everything's 8. Right? Everything's 8. Yachon? The other Hazars are 7. Let me show you. Show me where it says 7. Look at Vayikra. I'm trying to. What does it say there? Let me say. What does it say there? What does it say there? Sheva Pamim, right? So what do you see? Okay. It's Sheva.
Yeah.
Rabbi said, 1 second though. On Yom Kippurim, how many places are there Hazos? 3. Kodesh Kodashim, Midam Apar V'Dam Asar. Right? And then he comes out and does on the paroiches, on the floor. Again, the same thing. B'chen Yasalo El Moed. Again, 8 and 8. Then he mixes the 2 bloods and he goes to Mizbeach Hazav. And he does 7 on the Mizbeach and 4 on the Yisayas. So how many altogether? 16, 16, 11. How much is that? 23, right? But there's 16 hazos which are done on the parochas outside, which are not Kodesh HaKodashim. And they're also 8. So how's the look what the Maharal says here? The Maharal says here, in Kodesh HaKodashim, you're mechitza al gashmis, that's what he says. You have 8. Other hazars are 7. That's what he says. What?
I think the Rav spoke about this one.
It's muchach. What does the Maharal hold? The Kodesh HaKodashim extends. Reb Chaim Brisker says it in Lomdus, Brisk style, in the Rambam. The Maharal saying it through the numbers 7 and 8, and they're both saying the same thing. On Yom Kippurim, it extends. And it's called a din of Kodesh HaKodashim. Otherwise, there'd be no other way I'd understand this Maharal. Right? Okay? That's what it is. Now, I'll say, I'll read you a Rambam. You remember the Rambam? This is checkmate times, I don't know what. Let me read you a Rambam. In Avoid, in Kubanis. What does the Rambam say? The Rambam in Hilchos Ma'aseh Kubanis, and Perikei gives you like a nice review. And what does he say? Zok the Helike Rambam. V'hechen mazin, par v'seir shel Yom HaKippurim, mazeh dam kol echad mehem shmona hazoyes al ben abadim, u'shmoine al haparoches. From each one, so it's 16 and 16. And then you mix the 2, u'mazeh mishtem arba hazoyes arba kolos mizbech hazov, shebahechal v'sheva hazoyes. Good. That's halacha number 1. Halacha Yud Beis. Halacha Yud Gimel. Parim on Yisrofim v'Sirim on Yisrofim, which you just now read in Parshas Vayikra. Zorek b'dam kol echad sheva hazoyes al haparoches hamavdeles ben hakodesh u'ben kodesh HaKodashim. You mentioned the parochas before. You didn't say it's mavdeles ben hakodesh HaKodashim. It's the same parochas. Now it's a pasuk in Parshas Truma. V'yivdil lachem haparoches ben hakodesh u'ben kodesh HaKodashim. No, over there in the back. Here you got to be alive and kicking. This is mashu. The Rambam quotes the parochas as mavdeles only on the second halacha. On Parim and Yisrofim. If he would have said it the first halacha and not the second one, okay. He said it once, you just have to repeat. But to say not to say it the first time, to say it the second time? No, I see that Abishai doesn't believe me. So I'm going to show him. We'll have an end then. Then I can do it also. Yeah, look, that's what you say. How do you call the parochas? Shmona hazoyes ben avadim, u'shmoine? Does he say anything more? No. Halacha Yud Gimel. Zorek sheva hazoyes al haparoches? Why did the Rambam write on the second time? It's so clear. Because the first time, it's on both sides it's Kodesh HaKodashim. It's not mavdeles. Mishnei Kavei Yarok, it's called. Both sides it's Kodesh HaKodashim, so you can't say mavdeles. Me'achuz. In Shabbos Efregel, in the back, they speak a little bit about it. But it's Pasha, that's what the Rambam has in mind. I remember, I heard from Rabbi Elephant, this Yisoid, and then I showed them this Rambam. He said, how'd you get this Rambam? In my second bonus, how'd you get to it? I don't remember the answer now. But he said, 100%, that's what I'm saying. He adds mavdeles only in the later halacha, but we do throughout the whole year. Parim and Yisrofim, Sirim and Yisrofim, Banav, Zohar, and so on. But not in the Yom Kippurim. Mishnei Tzadim is the Kodesh HaKodashim. Shel HaParochet. That's like the Torah doesn't call it parochas on Yom Kippurim. You know how that second stop is called? How does the Torah call that second stop? I'll show you. Everyone has a chumash? Bevakasha ma'od. Give a look at Vayikra, Perek Tet Zayin.
290. Page 290.
You know, Pasuk? Yeah. Yeah. Here, Pasuk Tet Zayin. Perek Tet Zayin, Pasuk. It's a cool way to remember. Perek Tet Zayin, Pasuk Tet Zayin. I have a different, maybe print of Gemara. It's on page, the Chumash, page Shin Nun Ches. Look what it says there. V'chiper al HaKadosh b'tumas b'nei Yisrael b'pishem b'chol t'hasan. V'chen yaseh lo el moed. Perek Tet Zayin, Pasuk Tet Zayin. What does it mean, V'chen yaseh lo el moed? So look what Rashi says. It's a Gemara. V'chen yaseh lo el moed. Keshem she'izah mishneim b'fanim achas amala b'shev l'mata. Kach mazal ha-parach is b'chutz mishneim achas amala b'shev l'mata. Well, is the Torah embarrassed to mention the word parachas? In Pasuk Vayikra it mentions it. V'chen yaseh lo el moed. Are you avoiding the word parachas? Absolutely. Because what does parachas literally mean? And the Torah, everything is literal. What does parachas literally mean? Let me show you. Give a look at Shmois Perek Kafei Pasuk Lamed Aleph. No, 1 second. Oh, no, Perek Kavav. Sorry. Perek Kavav. Pasuk Lamed Aleph. On my Chumash, it's Reish Nun Aleph. What does Rashi say in Pasuk Lamed Aleph? What does parachas mean? Lashon mechitzu, u'b'lashon chem pogod, dovar mavdi ben hamelech ben ha'am. It means mechitza. The Torah is not going to mention parachas on Yom Kippurim. Now, the Rambam could mention it, because he's not Torah, but he won't add the word mavdelis. Don't we have the right religion, guys? I'm asking you. Do we have the right religion? Yes or no? 100% we got the right religion. Lashon Torah l'chud v'lashon chacham l'chud. But just the way the Torah refrains from mentioning parachas on Yom Kippurim, because parachas means a mechitza, and it's not, because both sides it's Kodesh Kodashim. Similarly, the Rambam doesn't mention hamavdelis on Yom Kippurim. It's exactly the same word, which is the Torah. Every word is divine. So we're not going to use the word parachas even as a bitui mushal. Bitui mushal? A bar term. The Rambam will mention the word parachas, but he won't say hamavdelis. That he's not going to say.
What does it mean? Not oil moed?
It's the hechel. The hechel is called.
Yeah, but it's not oil moed.
It's in oil moed. Right. Okay. Right there. By the way, you know, you remind me of another nakuda. What comes after pasuk Tet Zayin? Pasuk Tet Ches. When he goes to the third stop, we're back to Vayikra. Vayikra Perek Tet Zayin pasuk Tet Ches. V'yotza lamizbeach. What do you mean yotza? He was there. He was in the hechel before already. He was by the crypt, then he went to the mizbech as well. That's called v'yotza. It's the same room. Why is it called v'yotza? So Rashi was bothered by it. Zemach Zbav. And he was like more the inner side, and now he comes in. Fine. But according to the Rambam, it's very posh why it says v'yotza. Because he took a left, Kodesh Kodashim, to the Hechel. The parachas and the mizbech hazav, there's an undivided, untangible mechitza between them. It's mamash v'yotza. Okay, but you remember we spoke about this once? We did. Okay, fine. We got the right religion. We're very happy that we got the right religion. Anyway, but look what the Maharal is saying here then. Wherever it's Shmoyne, it's Kodesh Kodashim. And Shah Hazar is Sheva. Hello, the parachas is also Shmoyne. What do you say about that? Obviously, that's called Kodesh Kodashim. Okay. Rabbi Elephant, when he said the shir, he pointed out that it's 8 and not 7. But Yeshiva should, make a beginning out of it. Yeah, but it's 8. You stay away from numbers. It sounds moralic. So when you say a shir, you don't want to sound moralic. Okay, Rabbi, so let me get right there. So let's go on. So on Yom Kippurim, we're commemorating the day that we are bodiless. Is there such kind of word? Bodiless? So we'll make up a word. On a body. Beli guf. Goes on the Maharal. He says, look how the Shnei Seirim bring this out. The Seirim in English are called goats, right? Right? What? There's two of them. Seir Hashem, Seir Azazel. What happens to the Seir Hashem? You shecht it, and its dam goes to where? The Kodesh Kodashim. And then the other one, you don't shecht it all, and you take it lock, stock, and barrel, and you bring it to Midbar Azazel to the Satan. Right? Is there any relationship between these two Seirim? Is there any? Oh, first of all, they're identical. The Mishnah and Yuma, they had the same height, the same look, and they cost the same price. But otherwise, is there any? There cannot be a bigger difference in these two. I'm serious. I mean, is that from Yid? What could be a bigger gap between La Hashem and La Azazel? It's the two extremes of the Bria. I don't think there could be a bigger extreme. It's much more than the North Pole and the South Pole. Harbe yoter. And yet they're identical. Ma'anyan ma'od. Not only they're identical, they're decided by a goyrol. Well, so you know what the girl does? Just technically, you want me to go through the... Let me tell you technically what happens with the girl. There's a box, a kalpi, and there's two notes in it. One of them says in it Lashem. The other one it says in it Lazazel. The Kohen puts in his two palms into the box. He takes one note, another note, and he takes them out. And the Zgan stands next to him and says, Ishi Kohen, open your hands. Now he has a right hand and a left hand, and the two Seirim, one's parallel to the right hand and one's parallel to the left hand. It's all Mishnah and Yuma. And he says, Ishi Kohen, open your palms. He opens. One says La Azazel, one says La Hashem. You know how you do it? So first, you dedicate the one La Hashem, meaning if the left hand says La Hashem, so the left Seir is La Hashem. Or if it's the opposite, it's the opposite. And then Mimele, the second one's La Azazel. That's called Gurl. Well, why do you have to do it that way? Why can't you say you're La Hashem, you're La Azazel? What's the girl? What's the role of the girl? You want to hear unbelievable numbness of the Maharal? What?
Wait, you do it, you don't know it.
Okay, what's the point? What's the message? What's the difference if it would have been you're La Hashem, you're La Azazel? What?
And you chose it.
Okay. Asma. So what's the nakuda? What's the point? What's the point here? You want to hear what the good in your soul B'Kotra says? We'll see inside. Is he the one who made the golem? Is it him? He made the golem? Oh, he's supposed to be very holy. I'll tell you the truth, Rabbi said, in my humble opinion, the story of the golem caused tremendous damage to the world. It adds zero covet and it totally distorts who he really was. Did he do a golem or not? I don't know. Some say it never happens. Like that. But nevertheless, Am Yisrael says it. It must have some merit. I don't know. But that it distorted what he was, and for sure, he was one of the deepest thinkers we ever had. And like that, you look at him as a kunstmacher. Mamas. How come all the Goyim come to his grave? Probably because of the golem story. I would imagine. Not because of this stuff we're going to see now. The Maharal is going to explain what's the difference if it's... Rebach, are you alive and kicking?
Yeah, I'm waiting for test vote.
Are you waiting for what?
Box test vote.
Bucks test vote. We're going to get there, Mr. Shem. Don't worry. Okay. But let's start in Bucks test. We'll start. He's first going to explain the role of the two Seirim. So what does he say? Give a look at Bucks test. Dover said miyuchad liYisrael that you could take your goof and put it in the attic, even for 25 hours. Only Yidden could do that. Ki ein nefesh Yisrael nefesh bahamis mutba baguf. Our neshama is not ingrained in the goof. L'kach amotor shikach me'es bnei Yisrael shnei seirim. Mipnei ki ha'seir. Here comes something interesting about the blood of the seir. What do we know about the blood of the seir? The modomeh, the brothers of Yosef. It looks like the blood of Adam. My wife asked me, really, if you'll take it to a laboratory, it will come out the same? I don't know. But it looks like it. I guess there's different colors, different shades. It looks like one. So what does he say? Look at this. I promise you, Cheva, if we're going to be able to internalize what we're going to see in the next boxes, I promise you, your Yom Kippur experience will be a different experience. If not, you get your money back. Sir, I promise you. Maftiach lechem. Give a look. Dover ze miyuchad l'Yisrael, ki ein nefesh Yisrael nefesh ba'am yismut b'baguf. Ulokach hamotar, I'm reading back 10 again, shikach me'ez b'nei Yisrael shnei seirim, b'bnei ki ha'seir damo kedam ha'odam. Ulokach shachtu b'nei Yaakov seir izim, v'yitbulu aktenis b'dam, as we know. V'adam hu ha'nefesh, the dam represents the neshama. U'mipnei ki yesh Yisrael nefesh adam, since the Jewish people have a human neshama, lo nefesh behema, לקח יהיה כפורסם סייריזים, שדמו כדם האדם. Again, alluding to the side that the korban is you. So whatever you are, your korban should be like that. You have dam adam, bring an animal that has dam adam. וזהו מעלת ישראל, שני סיירים, אשר אחד להשם ואחד לעזאזל, וגם עניין הגורלות, מפני כי הסעיר הזה שוב ודמו לפני ולפנים, מורה על מעלת ישראל. המעלת נפש, I'm sorry. אשר יש לנפש למעשרה מן הגופניוס. ולכך הובא הדם לחפו לפנים ולפנים. אשר הוא קודש ומקודש בכל הגוף. Meaning, what is he saying? The dam that goes all the way inside, what does that show? What does that show about us? Again, the dam hu nefesh, it's showing about our neshama. And our neshama goes all the way into the holy of holies that only once a year and maybe you could enter. So what does that show who we are? That our neshama is holy of holies. Meaning each and every one of us has something in his system which is holier than the Chofetz Chaim. I'll tell you why. Because Chofetz Chaim, whatever he did was, he did. Our neshama came nishmas apov shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. By the way, the Chofetz Chaim also had a Jewish neshama. And in addition to that, he's the Chofetz Chaim. Right? If we're so holy that our dam goes all the way lifnai v'lifnim, so where do our chatam come from? By default, it has to come from something external. Because our dam enters all the way to Kodesh HaKadoshim. Our dam shows our neshama. So then where does our chatam come from? It can't come from our neshama. Otherwise our neshama would be going into Kodesh HaKadoshim. It has to come from an external factor. That's Baksiyud. Im ken achet b'Yisrael. Achal shenafsham gdosha u'torah mitzad atzmam. Atzmam doesn't mean only on their own, but means intrinsically. Eino mitzad etzem hanefesh. Shari nafsham mitzad atzmam gdosha u'torah. שאם לא כן לא יהיה ראוי להביא אדם במקום קודש קדושים. אבל החטא הזה אינו מצד הנפש ישראל. אגב, בשביל גירוי השטן. How would you say in English גירוי? He's Mizgar, he... Okay, so we're all in the same boat. אשר הוא מתגר בישראל. ומצד הזה בא החטא. לקח מאותו כי מצד שישראל יש להם נפש טהורה, ויש להם קורבן להקריב לפני ולפנים, אם כן החטאים שישראל עושים הוא מיצר הרע, שהוא השטן, לא מצד עצמם. עד שיש לשטן הוא יצר החלק בישראל, they have a leverage on ישראל, הם החטאים שמצד היצר הרע. ולכך אמרה התורה שייתן עוונות ישראל על הסיר השני, וישלח הסיר במדבר, עד שיקח חלקו מן ישראל אשר יש לו אצלם. The Satan take back what you have. וחס ושלום, לא שיהיה כאן הקרובה אליו כלל. We're not offering a korban to something. שיהיה אבוידה. רק נאמר, ושילח את הסיר. You export את זה, הוא שולח אותו החוצה. כי החטאים בישראל אינם מצד עצמם, רק מצד החוץ באו. דהיינו מצד יצר הרע. ודבר שמצד יצר הרע, אפשר שישלח אותה וגם עליו. It's more than what the saying here. The dam that goes bifnim defines what our chatam are. If we're so holy of holies, so where do the chatam come from? It has to be for something external. What's the name of that external element? Satan Yetzirah. It's the same thing. And therefore, you put all our sins on the second seir, and you export it to where it belongs, to where it came from. Who is that? The Satan, whatever that means. Okay? The Chataim by the Yiddish folk is always external. It's always external. Rabbi, give a look in Baksiyud Gimel. Lo yeh, we're on Shabbos, on the pasuk we say tomorrow, Thursday. Lo yeh b'cha elzal. V'lo tishtachave le'necha. What does it mean, lo yeh b'cha? It should have said, lo yeh lecha. What does b'cha mean? In your stomach? Ezu elzal sheish b'gufa shel odem avomel yetzirah. So what does the Gemara define Yetzirah? Two very important definitions. It's beguf and it's zar. What does zar mean? A foreigner. It's not you. The bluff of the Yetzirah is he likes to say, you want this, you want that. Next time the Yetzirah talks to you, you tell him, it's not me. You're doing your job, but it's not the real me. Nachon Av Kaduri. I gotta ask a real mechila if I'm at the end. I don't know if 15 minutes will be enough. Okay, Rabbi say. You want to see? It says Bakshut Bet Rashi. It's a mistake. It's a Rav Kook. It's a typo. Look what it says on Bakshut Bet. Nochrim Sveim Ve'inam Tzmim Liotzam. They're content and they're not thirsty to their Creator. Knesset Yisrael Tzmea V'Teva Liyirat Yotzra Ulukei Mitzotav. That's Rav Kook. The truth is, Rabbi says it's Rashi. That's Rashi talking. Doesn't it sound like Rav Kook? Knesset Yisrael Tzme'ah. Am Yisrael is thirsty and yearning to fear Hashem and to fulfill His mitzvahs. Mansvos Harova Satzmei. He's going on that pasuk. I told you that Rav Hutter Zatzal told me in 2 different occasions that whenever he spoke to Rav Kotler, he always tried to make sure that Rav Kotler will say the word Torah. Because when Rav Kotler said Torah, he didn't say just Torah. His whole neshama and kishkas were in it. The kid learns in a Talmud. He always made the conversation in a oifen that Rav Kotler will say the word Torah. Because he got tremendous chizik the way he said Torah. And then when he was much younger, when he spoke to Rav Kook, he always had the conversation in a way that Rav Kook will say Knesset Yisrael. Because these people knew what they're talking about, and it was their whole life. It was their damatamtis. They didn't just say it. They said it. Okay, Rabbi say. Nachon? And the famous, which halacha is built on this? You saw that deep down were all Chafetz Chaim's? Which famous Rambam?
Yes.
And the get? Where's the Rambam? And Hichas Gerushin? Where? Electricity. What do you mean electricity? In Israel, the voltage is 220. The Rambam is 220. Perek Beis Halacha Chav. Just could I remember? Such an important Rambam to know. In Hichas Gerushin. He beat him up, and he says he gives it, and he really wins. Why? Because deep down he wants to do Ratzon Hashem. Elamai, the Yetzirah took him hostage. So you release him from the hostage grip, and now it says true. It's unbelievable, Chama. It's unbelievable Zach. Let's go on out the Bakshut Vav that Rebach is so waiting for. Okay, let's go. Ulekach tzarich sheitelegav goralas. What do I say? Let me bring out this point that I was saying, a little introduction. If I would just say, there's 2 of God, you're Lashem, you're Lazazel. What would that mean? Well, once you made one Lashem, I'm not going to make another one Lashem. I don't need 2 Lashem. Okay, so it'll be Lazazel. But that's all. But if I do a girl, and this is called Lashem, what happens then? Automatically the other one's Lazazel. Not only because I don't need 2, but that's what the girl is saying. The girl, when you make a girl, if one team wins, the other team loses. That's what happens. They're intertwined with each other. That's what a girl means. If the one to the left or the one to the right is Lashem, it's mechuyev that the other one to be Lazazel. Not only because I don't need 2 Lashem, but that's what it was. What's going on between them? Who's this? Who's that? Once you say he's the Hashem, it's mischayev. It's a toilada from it that the other one is Lazazel. You hear the chiluk we're saying? It emerges from it. Mitchayev mizeh. Mitchayev mizeh. Obligated from it. Yeah? Okay. Look, that's what the Maharal is going to do. It's such lumdus, guys. Moshe Rabbeinu would always say on the Maharal, Erez al-lamdan per excellence. People think he's a makubal. True. His lumdus is neironerois. Look. ולכך צריך שייתן עליו גורס. כי הגורל מתחייב זה מזה. One is emerges from the other. Okay? וכאן מפני שמקריבים קורבן לפניהם ולפנים. How does it emerge here? מורה על מלאת נפשם מצד עצמם. מזה בעצמו, look, the Maharal underlined the 2 words. מזה בעצמו מסחייב סיר לעזוזן. Meaning, what's the Havana? If your dam goes all the way lifnaim velifnim, so where did your chatam come from? The southern. So the dam of one seir is meschayev the shiluach of the other seir. It's mamish two sides of one coin. Once you define who we are, which our true madrega is, you're defining what our averes are. Okay? V'im lo ayu gerolis, the third line. If there wasn't a gerolis, רק היה מקריב אסיר בפנים בפני עצמו, והיה משלח אסיר בעצמו, בבית דוב הזה אי אפשר, זה לא, כי אולי חטא ישראל מצד נפשו ומצד עצמם. Maybe our chatam are part of ourselves and you can't just export it, ולא שייך לשלח החוצה. אבל דוב הזה שישלח אסיר ומצד אסיר שלחס דמו לפנים ולפנים. ובזה נראית הרב קדושת ישראל. Meaning, the message of the first Seir LaHashem dictates that the Chatam can be exported, sent away. Because if you're so holy, it's external, and if it's external, you could ship it off. But who's telling you what the definition of the Chatam of Yisrael are? The Seir LaHashem. Rabbi say, I just want to bring you a raya gdola to this, he said. There's first of all one halacha that the girl is ma'akev. You don't do a girl, you don't send the Seir LaZazel. According to the Maharal, it's very understood. Because the Seir LaZazel is Teiloda of the girl. And then there's another Gemara. Listen to this Gemara. Met ha-mishtalech. If the Mishalech died, what does it mean? Yishatech adam. So then the dam of the meaning the Gemara asks, יעמוד חי לפני השם לכפר, עד מתי יהיה סיר המשתלח זקוק להיות חי? עד שעת מתן דמים של חברו. Meaning, the Seir LaZazel could, if he died, it's okay. It depends whether when he died. What's the cutting point? The Zrikas Adam of the Seir HaChai. The Seir LaZazel has to be alive till the Zrikas Adam of the Seir LaHashem. Once you did this Zrikas Adam, if the Seir LaZazel dies, it's okay. I mean, Chaval, but it's okay. It's not Ma'akev. That's what the Gemara says in Yuma Daf Samachem Amud Aleph. Meta Mishtaleach. So, Ha'isabel Mitzvah says the mitzvah was done already. Right? Well, you have to do the girl. The girl was done already. Amid ve'Rabbi Yana, Yomad Chai Lifnei Hashem, Ad Matai Yeh Sir Mishtaleach Zakuk Liot Chai, Ad Sha'at Matan Damim Shel Chavero. Meaning, and if he died before, so you know what happens? You also shefech the dam. You don't throw the dam. Meaning, if the Seir LaZazel died prematurely, before the Zrikas Adam, you're not zorg the dam either, of the Seir LaHashem. According to what we're learning, it's, of course, the Zrikas Adam defines the Seir LaZazel. He has to wait for the Zrikas Adam. The Zrikas Adam means that the dam goes in all the way to the end. Okay, the Seir LaZazel has to wait for this Zrikas Adam. Okay, it's very understood. Because what defines his ability to ship off the Averis is the Zrikas Adam. Okay? B'seder Rabbi Yisai. Yes. שלא ימות עד שעת מתן דמו של חברו. האם מת קודם לכן, אין כפרת אדם כלום. You got to do the whole thing again. Okay? Meaning the story of Zrikas Adam is over when there's a Seir LaZazel there. Because it's defining who we are and it's defining who our bears are. It's Pashut Nifla, Rabbi Yisai. Okay, now let's go on. Yeah. Rabbi Yisai, maybe just to make sure that we're going to finish before. Rabbi Yisai, how do you translate in English the word Kippurim? Yom Kippurim. What's the English translation for the word Kippur? Richard, what do you say? What's that translation of the word Kippurim? Atonement, right? That's what we say in English. It's mamish not the right translation.
It could be a barrier.
What does Kippur mean?
A barrier.
Well, that way. What does Rashi say there on Chumash? To wipe. To machzazay. To wipe and swipe. I'll show you the Rashi. Give a look at Maksid Chet. What does Rashi say in Maksid Chet? Yaakov Avinu says, Acha Panav. נראה בעיניי שכל כפור שאצל אובן וחטא ואצל הפונים כולם לשון קינוח. קינוח means to wipe. והעברה הן, removal. ולשון ארמי הוא, והרבה בגמורה. ולשון מקרא נקראים המזריקים של קודש, כיפורי זהב. השם שהכהן מקנח ידיו בהן בשפת המזרק. So what does Yom Kippurim really mean? The day that you wipe away the Averes. When could you wipe away something? When it's external. Does it go like this? So let's say if I have a feather on my suit, what do? It goes away. What happens if it's a stain? You need dry cleaners. And if it's a stain on my skin, you need an operation. But if it's external, you wipe it. I told you always say that. I thought about it once and asked Moshe Shapir if he agrees, and he said yes. I don't know if he said yes, they really agreed or just want to be nice or didn't want me to know him. I asked him the word lichluch in Hebrew. You know where it comes from? Lech. Go away from here. Telech mekan. Get weg van daar. Yeah. He says, yeah. He said, I'm probably right. It's an Aramaic word. It's not in Lashon HaKodesh. But it's a lot. Lichluch comes from the word lech. Pamayim lech. Meaning, if you're not me, so go away from me. So we're saying, what happens in Yom Kippur? We define clearly who our real truth self is, our neshama. And what is our guf? External. It's so external that you put it in the boidim for one day. If one day is enough to send a message for the whole year, yeah, I got a ride from Rockefeller Center. Rabbi Yomin, you know what Rockefeller Center means? Rockefeller Center? It's the most expensive piece of land in the world, in Manhattan. Rockefeller Center. You know what happens there once a year? The family closes it once a year. For one day, in February. It's locked. And Yoitzev Einba. They have to do it al-pi chok. And what's the message? It's ours. And the other 364 days, you're our guests. Fine, you're invited to come. But remember, it's ours, and you are our guest. Once a year, they make that point. And it's theirs. For over, who knows how many, it's over 100 years of it like that. Yom Kippurim is one day a year that we take the guf and we put it in the boidim. What does that show? It's not us. What is it to us? The nefesh, the neshama. Rabbi says, if you don't mind, we'll skip now to page 4, to the last next box. There's a lot of advice to this point, but go now to box kapet. Lemaaseh. You know the question, is it being hypocritical? What? Hypocritical. Yeah, you know, the guy's coming Yom Kippur and they're not planning to change a word. Look what they answer. A beautiful answer. Now, in line what we learned tonight. Lemaaseh, actually, Yom Kippurim bechlet. Yom Kippurim definitely chosef, reveals that tzviut, our hypocrisy, v'amadat panim, and pretending shebachayenu. Lo, not what you think. Lo alicha lebet hakneset b'Yom Kippurim yatzviut. That's not where it's the hypocrisy. Ha'adishut, the indifference, שרבים מאיתנו מפגינים כל ימות השנה לענייני יהדות ואמונה, היא הצביעות והעמדת פנים. That is wearing a mask. זה מגדיר עצמו חילוני, שני מכריז אני לא מאמין, שלישי שוצף וקוצף נגד הרבנים ונגד חוקי הדת, these are Israelis, right? כאן תמונה העמדת פנים. That is the fake. What happens to us through the whole year. Yom Kippurim masir et hamasveh. Yom Kippurim removes the mask. Me'al kol ha'atzorot ha'mefotzatzot ha'ele, from all these bombastic declarations. Ein elu ela hatzaka klepei chutz. Hamadat panim, vetu lo. Habitu ru'u et kol ha'yehudim shemisaviv. Kol mi she'hifginu et adishutam, that they displayed their indifference and apathy, v'chosar ichpatit shlem l'yonei yahadut. Ru'u achshav. How they remove from themselves the mask. They're removing the cover of sarcasm and banter. And reveal the Jewish heart amongst them. Yom Kippurim does not create anything new. Rather reveals our inner truth. Which sometimes may be forgotten in the gray days of the year. Pitom, suddenly, bili kfiyah, without coercion, bili chukim, without laws, bili pakachim, without supervisors, mushbetet kol medina, the whole country is basically mushbat. I would say mushbat in English. Non-stop. The streets are empty. I saw that myself. It looks like there are other. There is a mask. Not on Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the emes. The other 364 days, that's the mask. He's Maharal Shabbos, he eats treif, that's the mask. That's the Yetzer Hara taking control of him, which is a Elzar. It's not really him. But deep down, every Yid is holy of holies. That's what that alone answers. That's how much what the Maharal is saying. On Yom Kippurim, so look at the headline, guys. What's the headline? Yom Kippurim, Hagilui Ha'amiti. Hagilui Ha'ani Ha'amiti. Who is the real you? So everybody say, if I'm gonna, it's like a marshal is like a hoarder, a rider and a horse. A rider and a horse. The rider's the neshama, the horse is the goof. If you feed the horse a lot, you give it tons of grass, is the rider still hungry? Of course. What? But you're feeding the horse? The horse has a different stomach, different system. No, but give it more. Give him a trip to the Bahamas. And take him to a tour on a, how's it called, on a ship, how's it called? A cruise. I'm telling you, then everything will be gavaldic. Oh, well. You know, when you feed the horse a lot, so then the rider can also ride. It's too sleepy to move. It's just there's two different systems, and your real system is your neshama, not to ignore the goof. Chas v'shalom. 100%, and kamach Torah for sure, but that your life should be shakur and yinanei aguf. The rider's going to go around hungry. The rider will go hungry. You're feeding the horse all the time. Ma'iti. Ma'iti. I need my food also. I'll make a pool. A pool, Habibi. A pool with water. And then the rider will be happy. No, he won't. He won't. I'll get excited in the beginning. He'll think it's a mikveh. Maybe. But you got to deal with the needs of the neshama. Okay, now we're going to say each one of you stays with this one. It's a matana for Yom Kippur. Okay? I want to also wish each one, now really on a serious note, Be'emes, I have to ask Slichul Mechila from a lot of people here, Be'emes. So I'm going to, instead of going one by one, are you all Mechil me?
Yes.
I can't hear.
Yes.
On the Gesel Shena? You're both on the Gesel Shena? And guys, just please remember, Chas Hashem, I never want to Chas Hashem insult someone. But if it comes out that way, it's totally unintentional. Chas Hashem to insult someone that comes still in Torah at night after a whole day of work. Be'emes. But I'm still a teenager. For good and for bad. Be'emes. It's good and it's bad. Rav Shach would say, if you're with young people the whole day, you remain young. It's true. Here's what's Mashu. I see the parents of teenagers, I sometimes can't believe how they forgot what it means to be a teenager. They're so out of it sometimes. But then I say, I don't blame them. I'm with teenagers for the last 45 years, so I remember it. But those parents that become the age of 45, oh really? Do you know that your son is much smarter than you when it comes to technology and everything? Oh really? Does your son have a filter on his own thing? No. Why? I trust my son. Chazal don't trust you. So you trust a 14-year-old? Did you forget what it means to be a teenager? Anyway, I'll say. Richard, I want to ask you a question. I know you have to go. I want to call you up to ask you something about KBY something. Are you still involved with KBY? Can I give you a call later tonight? You prefer tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, Rabbi say. Okay, Chabad. Well, it's an unbelievable day, this Yom Kippur thing. Rabbi Salata said if we would have Yom Kippur once every 7